let's go. So I'm gonna get right into it. So I posted a video earlier today about an Irish psychic named Cheiro was his stage name, but I guess um, but he was from Ireland, and he was an extremely accurate psychic. He practiced palm reading technique, but he also just did like pretty much like cold psychic readings of things he saw coming in the future. And it turns out the guy was highly accurate. So that video is I'm gonna post this video on my backup channel because it's about Israel, and every time I post stuff about Israel, they strike my channel. And so that channel already has like I think 2 strikes. So I'm gonna put this on this backup channel I got, and people can check that out here. And I may post it to Rumble as well. Um, so, so yeah. So the video is up on your screen as you can see now. Um, Called Amazing Irish Psychic from 1936 predicts England and Israel to be destroyed by Russia. Now that's going on right now. Like we're in the process of that whole thing happening and unfolding as we speak. Now, what he also said that was interesting, he, um, what I wanted to break down was that he predicted the real reason the European Jewish population um, invaded Palestine in the 1940s, right? So they tried to state that it was because they were oppressed and that was their historical homeland, um, et cetera, et cetera. And so, but turns out the psychic reveals the real reason, right? In the 30s, he revealed the real reason they were doing it. And now we see in 2022 that the psychic was correct. So that means the second part of his prophecy is going to come true, and Israel is going to be nuked by Russia, right? Not the Arabs. They're going to be nuked by Russia, right? Because they are the synagogue of Satan, right? Meaning Revelations 2 and 9 in the Bible. That is the chief house of Satan, right? The Antichrist, the devil, you see. And we know that to be true. Why? Because they run an apartheid state unhindered on the earth, right? Because so we'll go over that, right? I'll go over that in a minute. So let's get to that, and I'll be right. And let's move on. I'm gonna play what the psychic said. The whole video is on my other channel. The links, all the links in the description. You can kind of do some. You gotta do a little bit of research yourself. Kind of go back and forth. You can watch the videos, but I'm a condense it for you. So give me a second.
Amazing in his predictions of historical events. In 1927, for example, he declared that India would be freed and religious warfare would rage between the Mohammedans and the Buddhists. Caro further predicted that Italy and Germany would war with France and that Spain would be under a dictatorship. This came to pass with the alliance of Hitler and Mussolini, and General Franco did become dictator of Spain. He also foresaw that London and the east coast towns of England would be destroyed by Russian airplanes. He declared, the great battle of Armageddon will be fought on the plains of Palestine between Russia and the new Jewish nation. Caro cited in 1927 a newspaper article, Unfathomed Wealth of the Dead Sea and Palestine. The imagination reels before the stupendous figures of wealth, estimated by the experts to be the value of the deposits. Andrew Jackson Davis.
So let me stop right there. So what he just said, right? What he just pointed out was the real reason why he pointed out and exposed uh, the real reason why that the so-called the European Jewish fact Zionists decided to invade Palestine, right, and make a push into Palestine. You see, the Europeans found out that Palestine and that whole area around the Dead Sea was full of natural resources like oil and gas, right? and other minerals, and so they wanted it, and so they created this whole situation with this whole this is their historic homeland. We are oppressed, so we're gonna go in and we're gonna basically colonize and settle this land here and take it from the Arabs and the black people and different people that live there, right? Because we're God's chosen people and it's our destiny. Turns out that's not true, right? And um, this psychic from 1930s predicted why they would do it, right? He revealed the real reason, you see, why they were doing what they were doing in the 30s before they did it, which came true and is revealed to us in the 2022. And I'm going to break that down, right? So let's listen to what he said one more time.
Dictator of Spain. He also foresaw that London and the east coast towns of England would be destroyed by Russian airplanes.
Right? And he also said right there, he said that in World War III, UK, London, all that shit is going to be destroyed by the Russians, right? Which is about to happen.
He declared, the great battle of Armageddon will be fought on the plains of Palestine between Russia and the new Jewish nation.
He said that, and this was in the 30s, he said that, here right here where you're breaking it down, where he says the new Jewish nation. This was before he died in 1936. The Jewish state wasn't formed until 1948. If you don't know, I'll post the links. So he died, I believe, 1936. He said there will be a new Jewish nation. This was 12, 36, 48. This is what, 12 years, over a decade before that even happened, right? And he said that Russia would attack them in the end and destroy them.
Caro cited in 1927 the newspaper article, Unfathomed Wealth of the Dead Sea and...
So he wrote this. This is a newspaper article in 1927. He wrote, and they're quoting this man. The narrator is quoting the article.
Palestine. The imagination reels before the stupendous figures of wealth, estimated by the experts to be the value of the deposits.
See, so he said that in 19. So this was he wrote in his article. The reason why that they were going in there was he said there was untold wealth beneath the Dead Sea and the coast of Palestine and under Palestine as far as oil, natural gas, and mineral wealth. And they got a report. They got the report in the 20s and they found that out. Right? They knew this already in the 20s. Now, let's move on to that. Right? I broke that down. You see what he said. He said this in the 20s and 30s, like the late 20s and 30s. He was talking about this. Now, let's see if he was right. Here's an article, right, from August 2019. Right, let's take a look at it. Right. So this article says the unrealized potential of Palestinian oil and gas reserves. Right. Now let's scroll through this a little bit through this article. I got a couple of them where it says in his article. I believe this is from the UN. Yeah, it's from the UN. It says August 2019, oil and natural gas resources in the occupied Palestinian territory could generate hundreds of billions of dollars for development. So now you see why these so-called people went in, why these so-called Jewish people went into Palestine, right? I'm gonna break and this psychic. Here's the kicker: this psychic revealed it in the late 20s, early 30s, in 1920s, like 1930, right? So he like maybe 10, 20 years, right, before they did it, he told you why they were gonna do it. And now we see the reports come out. They had these reports probably, not long after that. You see, so even probably before the reports on the resources were written, this psychic told you why they were gonna do it. Now we see the reports. Let's look at this. Geologists and resources economists have confirmed that occupied Palestinian territory lies above sizable reservoirs of oil and natural gas wealth. That's the least, right? Even off the coast of the Gaza Strip, and these so-called Jewish people will not let them develop it. So now you see why they're settling the land, why they invaded Palestine, and why they're trying to get these people off their land. Has nothing to do with God giving them the land or any of that, because they're not of the God of the Bible of Isaac, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as it is written, right? Revelation 2 and 9 reveals also why they did that, and I'm gonna touch on that as well, right? And so right here we got another article from a human rights organization that says the pillage of the Dead Sea, Israel's unlawful exploitation of natural resources in the occupied Palestinian territory. Pillage of the Dead Sea, Israel's unlawful exploitation of natural resources in the occupied. So they already going in, occupying the land, and putting in oil and gas operations. They have been doing that for decades. It says the Dead Sea is one of the lowest points on Earth and the world's saltiest body of water. It is renowned for geographic and mineral climatic features rich in natural resources and minerals present in the area. Permits the development of profitable cosmetic industries, raw materials, right? And so we see again that he was right. The psychic was absolutely right. Right. Let's go to another article out of Al Jazeera. Palestine's forgotten oil and gas resources. A fair distribution of oil and gas resources in the Levant basin will be needed to achieve a lasting political economic settlement between Israel and Palestine. Right. Let's read a little bit more from that article. Let's go down. It says an Israeli flag, right? An Israeli flag flies at the mega oil and natural gas field. Israel says the field lies west of the armistice line of 1948, yet most of the reservoir is situated beneath the Palestinian territory occupied since 1967, right? After Israel's latest military operation, the ensuing massive devastation in Gaza, the international community has pledged hundreds of millions of dollars to help with the reconstruction of the Strip. However, a lasting end to the conflict between Israel and Palestine will not be possible without long-term investment, right? Blah, 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 right? An overlooked means of generating these revenue would be to allocate Palestine its fair share of benefits from oil and natural gas reserve occupied in the occupied territories. So what they're saying is the Israelis basically are exploiting the oil and gas, right, and stealing from the natural resources from the Palestinians. Sound familiar, right? Let's jump over here to this article. Let's close that, right? Palestine's historic compromise. You can see, right? It started when they invaded prior to 1947. All of this belonged to the Palestinians, the people that lived in that area. In 1947, we see after the invasion of Palestine by the European so-called Jewish community, right, and they started many wars and conflicts, and backed by the UN, United States, and other basically white people, right? They went in and started colonizing and taking the land so that they could get as we see in these articles, the natural resources, right? The rich natural resources. And in 1967, and then we see in 2020, right? Their projected plan was to basically strip out the rest of the land and put the Palestinians on land that didn't where they couldn't mine or have access to any of the natural resources, right? That was theirs by right, by birthright, right? And so we see Palestine down to 15%, right, of what originally of the 100% that it really was on the map, right? So then you have to ask yourself, was the psychic correct? Well, let's listen to it again, right? Let's listen to it again. Let's see if he was correct. We're gonna play it one more time. After I read those articles, right, we'll play it one more time. Let's listen to
East coast towns of England would be destroyed by Russian airplanes. He declared, The great battle of Armageddon will be fought on the plains of Palestine between Russia and the new Jewish nation. Cheiro cited in 1927 a newspaper article, Unfathomed Wealth of the Dead Sea and Palestine. The imagination reels before the stupendous figures of wealth, estimated by the experts to be the value of the deposits.
You see, he said, and he said, what did he say? Extreme amount of wealth, right, and deposits there, right, found in Palestine. Now he said this in the late. He said this in like 1930. So you're talking about 20 years, right? 20 some years before 1948, before they went and invaded Palestine. He told you why they were going to do it, right? He was, this proves he was true. What else did he say? He said that, he said that Israel, right? He said that Israel is going to be destroyed, right? He said Israel is going to be destroyed. And this is why. You see, that's why, because they went in there, this their karma, and they basically killed and robbed these people, right, for their land, and then told you it was the will of God. You see, they told you it was the will of God, right? And I'm gonna read something real quick before I hop up off of that. Right, this all prophecy, right? It was this also revealed in the Bible. Like what they did is revealed in the Bible, right? Where is it at in the Bible? It's in Revelation 2:9. What does it say? Right? In Revelation 9. It says, I know thy works and thy tribulation and see the Israeli, the white Jewish population and white people in general, they do that all over the earth. They went in and they impoverished the people and they stole the resources. But thou art rich. You see, the Palestinians are rich people. The Africans in Eritrea, the Africans all over the Africa are rich. But what happens? The Europeans, they come in and impoverish you and they colonize and take all your resources. The Indians in America, right? Everywhere you go, South America, people are rich and have resources. What do? They come in and they steal it. What did it say here? But we're talking about particularly these white Jewish people that invaded Palestine. He says, but this is the prophecy of what's going to happen to them, right? He says, Revelations 2:9, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, see, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, but are not, but are the synagogue of Satan, you see. So it's predicted that what they're doing was predicted. It's predicted, and it also tells you that these people are agents of the Antichrist. And you say, well, you know, how's that possible? I just showed you, right? If somebody that really was of God God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, somebody that really had good intentions, would they do that? No. Not only do we know by the Bible says, by your fruit you shall know them. This is their fruit. I'm revealing it to you. Also, um, a psychic told you, right? This psychic, he told you 20 years before it happened what they were gonna do and why they were gonna do it. So, I don't really. I mean, it's self-explanatory. It's self-explanatory. You know, I mean, then you see the different massacres that have gone on where they massacred these. I mean, when Donald Trump and Candace Owens, right, and all of these people went to Israel, right? Uh, let's pull that up real quick too. I'm gonna show. I want to show. See if I can find a picture of that. Particularly her. I want to show this picture real quick. See if I can find an image of that. Candace Owens. Found a picture when they went. Here's some pictures. And particularly that picture right here, I wanted to point to. So when they went and did this, right? Her and this man, one of her accomplices, right? Charlie Kirk, right? When they went and did this outside of that embassy, they massacred 64, I believe, men, women, and children unarmed who were protesting because of the Jerusalem situation with Trump, right? They massacred these people unarmed because they protested, while Candace Owens and her white friends were inside sipping wine and telling you how good and awesome this was, and they were pandering to the synagogue of Satan, drinking, right, trying to get a slice of the devil's pie, 100% uncut wickedness, right? See, the Antichrist is not coming. The Antichrist is here, and he's been here for a very long time, right? Stealing, lying, and these are his operatives. These are the agents of the Antichrist, Satan, the devil, right? It's pointed out in Revelations 2 and 9, right? I'm gonna read this and I'm gonna end on that, right? He says, "I know that he works in the blasphemy, right? And I'm sorry, I know thou works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are what? They are the synagogue of Satan." And on that, that's all I got.